Hello, boys, men, probable male demographic of my audience. Today I came prepared. You'll no doubt notice I hung a thing on the ceiling. I shaved my disgusting beard. And I have here in front of us two unrouted MIDI channels with a tempo I think lines up, and an MP3 of Deus Machina. I'm going to attempt to decipher this song in a way that doesn't come off as insane ramblings of a madman, and it's hopefully somewhat enlightening. Now, the problem that we can't look more in depth at this is because technotheism started in 2017, and this song probably started in 2018. If you don't know me personally, I have a very, very tragic history with computers, and I've been through many, many computers since that album. I think when I started this album, I was using an ancient Mac Pro from 2008, and then during the course of this album, I upgraded to a more modern Retina MacBook Pro, and then I sold that for an iMac. It doesn't matter. The point is, when I was making technotheism, a lot of stuff could only be pulled up with another Mac, rendered down in its current form with no effects, and then moved over to the new system, because I was not only switching from Logic to Studio One, I was also obviously switching from Mac to Windows. That is why, fun fact, Data Shield attack, which is important to this lesson, sounds weird. It's because that song, I couldn't transfer the tempo map to this new operating system because the tempo fluctuates so much in the orchestral section. There's no way to reline it up. So I had to print down all the drums, all the orchestra stuff, everything in the computer without really knowing what they sounded like other than through headphones, which is why the drums on that one are just straight up weaker. Because I had to commit to them. All of the MIDI stuff, all of the sample stuff, I had to print it all down, and there's one section in the song actually where I realized I had made a mistake because, wow, 2018 me was not infallible. And that's why you see two channels here, is because there's places when I had to mute the render of the old strings and program in new strings and just hope that they blended. This is the original one pulled from the computer. This is the one that I had to rewrite. I'm going to attempt to use this to analyze some of the chord progressions going on. I guess we'll just get right into it. So the song opens with a riff that is, although the guitar is tuned to A, it's actually in D Dorian. I'm definitely not Googling this. Yeah, I knew that. I need to stop second guessing myself. I need more self-confidence. D Dorian. So it's playing all the notes of A minor in a drop A tuning, but it's not pedaling. It's pedaling on A. I don't fully believe it's in D Dorian. Somebody told me that, and I just believed them. Can you tell this video isn't scripted? The point is, this riff focuses heavily on D, despite the fact that it's in A. That's important later on. So you have this opening section with that main guitar motif. into this next section, which is just straight tremolo picking. And I'm not going to pretend like this was any crazy, brilliantly composed sort of, like, I had the basic trem melody, and I told Logan to just make stuff up, honestly. Like, the second channel of that is basically improv. What it's outlining, though, is that we are in D. Despite the fact we're pedaling on A, it's in D. Okay, so this section just repeats that opening riff, this time with vocals, and then we get into the breakdown, which is just D and A back and forth. So it starts out chugging on D, which sounds like the root because it is, because we're in D Dorian, I concede. And then it slams down to A, which is great and sounds cool. Trying to establish this sort of ambiguous, it's not that ambiguous tonality. Look, this isn't jazz, but it is metal. I don't know how accurate these strings are. So the pre-chorus cycles through A, B, D, A, before going into a chorus that, oh my god, changed so many times. But is this right? Thought this was a D chord. So here's the thing. This chorus used to cycle between two chords a semitone apart. It was an idea that I really loved from a Dark Tranquillity song, Encircled. I cannot think of the name of it. It was an idea that I really liked from a Dark Tranquillity song, and I ripped it off poorly. But originally it just cycled kind of chromatically between those two chords, and later on, it was retconned into being like a bastardization of a pop progression. But it does end on A, as you can see. This is more of a theory analysis. But the point of this solo battle thing, that even though it was goofy, I insisted that we kept in, was to kind of show the struggle between man and machine. I don't know how clear that played out. I know, like, you know, the lore nerds will eat that shit up, but the idea of it switching back and forth was like, oh, here's humanity, here's the robots, back and forth. It's cute.
Shattered by what divinity truly means. The implications of omniscience and the role of deity.
So I call this the verse. It's the only chill part in the song, and this is one of the sections that had to be rewritten, which means it should be on the bottom. And you'll notice that there's an F natural and an F sharp, which kind of takes it out of D. I mean, it also starts in A. When I pulled out of the computer the MIDI from it, The woodwinds and the strings were playing conflicting notes. I think there was an F sharp on an F, and that was because I like obviously couldn't consciously decide the tonality of this part. Structurally, it doesn't really propagate anything in the song. It's just, you know, you gotta put music in the song. I don't know what to tell you. This is all gonna make sense in a bit. For now, I'm basically, what you can take away is I'm just like setting up the basic elements of the song. Obviously that main riff is pretty important. After that break, the trem picking you can pretty much ignore. It's just an answer to the string skippy part. And then that idea returns. We establish that breakdown before going into the pre-chorus. And then the chorus, which then, after the chorus, goes into that ridiculous solos by Luke Robinson and the technological ghost of Christina Fan, into what I guess you could generously call the verse.
Illusions have been shattered.
And then a chill pre-chorus. Now the interesting thing to note here is, and this is just a mistake, I'm just going to admit this straight up, these two chords in the pre-chorus are a remnant of the old chorus that I just dead-ass forgot to change. It's that chromatic progression that I mentioned. Half step. And all I did to fix that, I'm guessing, based on the fact that I know me, is oh my god, I'm so rusty with theory terms. This is like a German augmented 6/4 chord or whatever. Basically, it applies a tonality, even if it's not in the scale, to resolve at the chord that I need. So even if these notes, this is off time if you can't tell. That, like, those notes don't sound great on their own, obviously, if you just, like, it's gross. But they resolve to where they need to go, which is the E. That's how I got myself out of that pickle, instead of just rewriting it. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. The decision to change the chorus into chords was done after these were rendered, so I couldn't rewrite the part. Well, I had to. It was either I'd keep the parts and chop them up, or I'd just rewrite them completely. So for this section, I just decided an applied chord would work fine, or a German augmented 6/4 or whatever. So this, again, same riff A, whatever you want to call it, the main guitar motif. I forgot I'm not wearing earrings. Wow, I look really clean cut. That riff repeats because it's a metal song, but what I call this solo, and then there's another solo at the end of the bridge, are like the bookend solos. They do that. They bookend the bridge. The bridge is weird. Let's see if I can line these up. Okay, so here's the thing about this bridge. Hatsune Miku's friend in it. This bridge is in G, and you can hear that transition into it. So that's like the D-ish, A-ish area, and then we're fully modulated into G. Now the problem is, I obviously don't remember how I did that. But I'd really love to... Oh, this is right. This is right. Okay. So, quick analysis. Now, yeah, I guess I should note that I'm not looking at it like this, like a normal sane person. I just read MIDI better. I'm sorry if it's weird. Okay, so yeah, G. How do we get there? Let's reverse engineer this. So, that's a D major, and before it is something else. Oh, okay, so that's part of a... Okay, here's the thing. When I wrote this, like, you can see me work in trends. And during this era of my life, we had just studied augmented 6/4. I think that's what they're called, augmented 6/4 chords. They're sort of like a rearrangement of a dominant seventh, but they're used differently. And there's like a German and Italian and whatever. Maybe I'll flash some theory on the screen because like I'm not gonna pretend like I know all this theory when like I don't use it regularly, so I just forget it. I have a textbook off screen. I'm not gonna pretend that I know this shit when I don't. But that's what this is. You can tell because that note, which is an octave down, is here. They're like a semitone apart, and then this was B. Yeah, you just kind of unarrange it in your head. So this is probably an Italian augmented 6/4 or whatever. But basically, what it comes down to is that this chord wants to lead to this chord, wants to lead to this chord. And that's my like semi-lazy way of getting from one key to the other. Because the thing is, this chord, wherever it is, that doesn't sound nice, obviously. It wants to go somewhere. But where it goes only somewhat fits into the tonality. But it resolves where it wants to, because this D major, I'm surprised it's not a D major 7. It might be playing a 7 in another voice that I don't have the MIDI for. Resolves perfectly to G. That's the important bit. And this just cycles between two chords. It's a very easy progression. It's just G, and I thought... Oh, is it C? I mean, it looks like it's C. Yeah, G and C. I mean, I know it is. I'm just... that loops for a long time. Well, Luca... the robot lady thing. And then turns into a breakdown. And what it's chugging is just the same chords. It's literally just two chords. Like, I'm sorry if you wanted this to sound complicated. Now we get into the weird part. So, I mentioned Data Shield Attack. It is important because that sweeping orchestral bridge... Here's your homework before you watch this video. Sorry, you're already halfway through this video. Optimistically. You gotta listen to this song, you gotta listen to Data Shield Attack. I assume if you're watching these videos, you've heard them at least once, otherwise, why are you here? The sweeping, massive orchestral bridge in Data Shield that accidentally ripped off the Tron Legacy soundtrack, look it up, was originally the bridge for this song. And when I was working on this album, Alex from At Dawn's Edge was sort of acting as the producer and my advisor on making music that would appeal to normal people. And he's like, I don't remember his exact words, but he's like, maybe don't, maybe don't put like a 2-3 minute completely orchestral passage in the middle of track 2 of like your banger metal song. Fair point. So it's rewritten. However, I could be wrong, and this whole tangent could be for nothing. There's this weird chromatic exchange thing here. And originally, let me see what I was doing here. See, that last chord, I can just hear that it's a dominant 7th. I want to see if I can on the fly reverse engineer, because here's the thing, because I know this. That bridge is in F, and originally there's these weird chromatic chords that are building up to going into F, because that's where that bridge was. And I kept those transitions. I just changed the tonality of the chords to go into what actually came next. Yeah. there is an F major chord there. So chances are what I did is like kept some of it, but then I might have even just continued the progression. I'm not going to pretend I knew what several years past caffeinated me was doing, but that is a fact. There's probably an old demo I could dig up that actually has that bridge. The reason that this is unnecessarily chromatic is because it was gearing up to go to F. Now, it makes sense here because there is a transition. It's going from G to A, which is technically the first time it's really in A. For an epic piano solo and a breakdown that I ripped off of Epica, can't think of which song though. I can't remember the name of the song. I could find it. I don't care that much. So this ballin' breakdown. I'm just so bothered by these strings, man. I think it's just not. Okay. So this passage, and you can hear the chromaticism in the piano too. So it goes like. Like that's a chromatic scalar descent. But all this whole thing has to do, since this bridge is this bridge, and we're in A, and we're going to A again, all this fanfare is for nothing. It's just a cool sounding remnant of when I had to somehow get from F minor to A minor, which is harder than going from A minor to A minor. And once again, I want to see if I can kind of on the fly reverse engineer what I was doing. I might not be able to. Okay, so if you can't analyze this stuff as quick as me, I can't even analyze this stuff as quick as me. G, B, wait, G? No, it's not. A, C sharp, E, G. Okay, cool. So A7, which sounds like it resolves correctly, which would resolve, A7 would resolve to D, but I don't think I did that. D, E, F minor, or F minor. D, F. Oh, nope. You know what that is? Oh, that's fucking fancy. Congratulations, me, for making convoluted bullshit. Oh, that's stupid. Oh, okay. That's probably just a German augmented 6/4. You can tell where those resolve by finding the only second in the chord, which would be the A flat and the G flat, which means that this resolves to A. However, the A that it resolves to, I can already tell from looking, it looks stupid. I might have just daisy-chained. Yep. So, we're in A minor. I'm going to ignore that stuff. I don't remember. It doesn't look... It is... What the hell is this? I guess it's implying an E major chord. So this E major, or it could be an E7, which resolves to an A7, and then from an A7 it goes to this, which I guess I would call, I forget how to unpack these chords. I guess it would be like an A sharp, German augmented, but whatever. This German augmented 6/4, which goes into a different German augmented 6/4, and finally resolves on E. Right, because we weren't trying to get to A, I guess. That was mostly just for fun, but the point of that whole thing is that originally we were trying to get to two way more separated keys. Okay. This is the ending of the bookend solos. Now here's where shit gets real. Now that main guitar motif is played in its correct key. Now originally it did a full recapitulation of the start. It played all the way through the start, and then it played all the way through start again in the correct key, because that D Dorian, Dorian's weird, and it's sort of, at least the way I was trying to write it to make it ambiguous between A minor and D Dorian, is that it's trying to pull to A minor. So after its journey of all this augmented bullshit, it finally comes back in the correct key. Yeah, plays that riff, this time in the correct key of A. Then some sort of fun stuff. We bring back that breakdown, but now it's playing 4 different chords, stronger establishing this A tonality. I don't remember what those chords are, I'm sorry, it's not going to show me clearly. So we take another spin on a chorus, the original chorus, the way Deus intended, get it? And then we have this applied. And the entire chorus also moves to A, where it's wanted to be the whole time. Now, the problem is, as you noticed from before, I sketched it out in MIDI somewhere, this chorus already ended on A, and it needed to start on A. So, I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure what I did for that last chord is turned that A, I think it was into an E dominant 7th. So that weird vocal melody is basically outlining this E dominant 7th, which resolves to A, and then plays out the chorus in the correct key at the end of the song, which eventually fades out. Another interesting artifact is that this ambient shit is also the old chord progression. It just cycles chromatically between two chords that are a semitone apart. Couldn't change everything, If you're going to take away anything from this, it's that, first of all, this song was really, really hacked together, and that shouldn't deter anybody from making a good song or whatever. It doesn't matter how hacked together it is, as long as it sounds good. This was a half-assed attempt at sonata form. The problem is the bridge got distracted. Why does the bridge go to G? I do not know. Yeah. It doesn't, I'm not going to explain sonata form, because honestly I would just be being a poser, because I've forgotten a lot. But the idea was that this song, all throughout the start, is building tension by playing in Dorian. Further accentuated by this. We added the chorus. Because there has to be a chorus. I don't know what to tell you. We play Melodeath. And, then it goes through all of these things, which again were added later. And then somewhat recapitulates, only to then drop down to the correct key where it feels more at home. Then cycles through the different parts. The riff in A, where it's supposed to be the breakdown. following a pretty standard like pop progression in A. To finally play the chorus one last time. And modulate to A as well. Yeah, it would have been stronger if the bridge was in the fifth, but I guess everything's in the fifth. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping that I would be able to pull more of the MIDI from the original track so that I'd have a better, well, first of all, better visual story and a better analysis of what was going on. But it's also just coupled with the fact that, like, a lot of the theory techniques that I learned in school, if I remembered, I forgot the names of, because all the theory boils down to really, really core components. Like, in the simplest terms, like, you make chords and they want to go somewhere. There's like, every single chord is made up of tones that are stable or unstable, and all you have to do is put the unstable tones to the stable tones in the next chord, and that's it. You can solve any fucking chord, it doesn't matter. Like, the most complicated I get is like applied dominant sevenths and German augmented 6/4s, because I don't need to make things more complicated. If I do, I'll throw like this is not a second, what would it be, an 11th, or whatever, into a seventh chord. That just makes it crunchier. It doesn't make it pull harder. Sevenths pull as hard, I think, as anything does, if that makes sense. But anytime you need to like switch keys around, you know, whatever chord you're going to, whether it's in the scale or not, you just take the dominant seventh of that chord, and usually you'll find it more or less fits into the key that you're in, only a couple notes away. And if it's too much, then you just have to do that again. I can't imagine that people don't use this. I don't analyze a lot of music, but I'd imagine you just kind of, like, a lot of people use that sort of applied circle of fifths until you get somewhere that doesn't sound weird. That, I think, is the whole analysis of Deus Est. Thank you for viewing.